Unpacking these cyclical patterns and underlying programs behind weight gain and cyclical weight gain and obesity. Let's go. There's been a lot of clients coming in with this type of patterning, or the opposite, which is eating disorders, which I want to do another video on. But here's how I see it. Those who tend to gain weight or run in cyclical patterns of weight gain and weight loss run a martyr frequency, distorted service, and they take on everybody else's garbage. But it invariably comes down to boundaries. Somehow you've agreed to just take people's stuff on. They dump their shit onto you. I've seen people who are just full of dead people. That's why they consume, because they can't find themselves in space-time. So they have to get really full in order to feel themselves drop into their bodies. Then there's also this odd euphoria that happens, right? As we know, when we have the glucose levels that go down, the sugars spike, our adrenals go crazy, and then we get neurotransmitters. We get serotonin releases in the brain, and then we feel good. So typically people who are running these types of patterns need to have high levels of starchy, sugary foods to maintain that level of serotonin, because they can't do it on their own. Again, because these patterns around distorted service, not feeling good enough, so there's patterned lack, and taking on other people's garbage and burdens. Good girl, bad girl frequency, another thing that's coming from religious indoctrination. So typically one of the lines will be heavily rooted in religion, and they feel like they have to do X in order to get Y. So if you think of like the Mother Teresa frequency, I don't know if you guys ever remember seeing pictures of her, but damn, that woman was burdened. It's a really good example of what distorted service looks like. If you run obesity frequencies, there is a tendency to not feel safe unless you have weight. Now we're going to talk about trauma. Unprocessed trauma carries itself always with weight gain. You're literally putting up a walls and walls and walls of protection. If you were violated early, you feel like you're unlovable. So you stuff emotions down because the shit's painful to look at. So the weight gain, weight loss cycle happens because you're not getting down to the root cause of what's really going on. When you eliminate the pattern, like at programming level, just wipe that algorithm out, you will not behave the same way. That pattern behavior will not manifest itself because there's different programs running. So back to trauma. When you have unprocessed trauma, you eat to stuff emotions, unfortunately. And if there's not a whole lot of self-love, because that typically is what happens when we're running patterned lack or victim and abuse, that abuse frequency will manifest itself as overeating. So it's a combination. It's tricky, but totally doable. What's next?